right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A total eclipse of the heartland.
My God! That is amazing!
All eyes were on the sky as day turned to night in an instant.
It's hard to describe, I think. And it's the darkness and it's the bird song.
The sky was perfect in so many ways across the bi-state area today, but changes are coming. We're tracking rain chances for much of the rest of the week.
Our top story, he survived a horrific crash that killed his co-worker.
For senseless driving like that, we lost a good man.
Tonight, he's reliving his on-the-job nightmare.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. The crash happened near the intersection of South Broadway and Ripa and Lime on Friday afternoon. Tonight, the survivor is out of the hospital and talking only to 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend.
Mike and Kelly, it's been 3 days, and Carl C. says he, his co-workers, and their loved ones are still in shock. For Cease, the physical and emotional pain are unreal.
I heard the screeching tires, but I didn't even have time to turn my head.
Carl Cease says it was a quick nightmare that happened in broad daylight to him and 5 co-workers.
The car was fishtailing and turned around backwards and then just stuck and shot like a rocket.
Cease says around 10:30 Friday morning, he and his fellow carpenters from Glenlow Awning and Window Company in Imperial were installing a new awning on this resale shop in South St. Louis County. He says they were just 1 hour on the job when a driver in a light-colored Cadillac sped around this curve on South Broadway, left the road, and crashed into them. The 58-year-old Arnold husband, father, and grandfather fell off a ladder.
Laying on the ground in front of the Cadillac that had hit me, my buddies was trying to stop the bleeding in my head.
Paramedics rushed him to a hospital with a serious back injury, a cut in his head, cuts and bruises.
It's gotten better, and it's going to get better.
His co-worker and friend, Chris Johnson from House Springs, was handing him materials when he got pinned under a truck and died. Johnson had a 7-year-old son.
For senseless driving like that, we lost a good man who loved his parents and loved his son. It is unfair.
Police say 19-year-old DeAndre Robinson, the driver of the Cadillac, and 19-year-old Patrick Allen, another driver, were drag racing at very high speeds moments before the deadly crash. Prosecutors charged both with involuntary manslaughter and second-degree assault.
Whether they serve time or not, it's not going to bring back Chris. His son's going to be devastated for his whole life. His parents will have a hole in their heart that will never heal.
Right now, Cease is still wearing a brace to support his injured back. He also has stitches in his head. Tonight, Robinson and Allen are still in jail.
We're also following breaking news out of North St. Louis. Right now, police investigating a shooting at a McDonald's restaurant. The shooting happened about 2 hours ago near Natural Bridge in Euclid. A 46-year-old man taken to the hospital after being shot 3 times. There's no word yet on his condition, and we're still working to find out a possible motive and if there were any arrests.
In less than 24 hours from now, a Missouri death row inmate is set to be executed. Today, Governor Parson denied clemency for Brian Dorsey. 5 on Your Side's Annie Kroll is live outside St. Louis Circuit Court, where a vigil will be held ahead of tomorrow's execution.
Brian Dorsey is convicted of killing his cousin and her husband in 2006 in New Bloomfield. That's just north of Jefferson City. During the crime, Dorsey's attorney says he was going through a drug-induced psychosis.
You know, that's supposed to be God's decision, not ours.
Tuesday's scheduled execution of Brian Dorsey decided after the Missouri Supreme Court denied a stay of execution Friday. On Monday, Dorsey was denied again. His clemency petition was supported by about 70 Missouri correctional officers who lived and worked with him. Family members of both Dorsey and the victims split on the lethal injection. Dorsey shot and killed his cousin, Sarah Bonney, and her husband, Ben, on December 23, 2006. Then sexually assaulted Sarah's body, according to prosecutors, as their 4-year-old daughter slept in another room. Dorsey's attorney, Megan Crane, calls this a, quote, pointless execution after a clean 17-year prison record and full rehabilitation. Crane providing us interviews with cousins of Dorsey and Sarah. It will be the first Missouri execution in 2024.
It'll be terrible for me because he is like my son. I was for it. the executions. But after being through this, after seeing how it affects so many people, you don't even think about that until you've gone through it.
Governor Parson pointing to justice for the victim's family in Monday's decision, saying, quote, "The pain Dorsey brought to others can never be rectified." The co-director of Missourians to abolish the death penalty telling me Dorsey will be the 11th person executed since Governor Parson has been in office.
It's really a sad situation that, some people, of course, that were close to the victims, are on one side, and then Brian has family members who want his life to be spared.
Vigils for Dorsey will be held tomorrow here at 3 p.m. outside the circuit court, one at the state capitol, another in Kansas City, and then outside the prison in St. Francis County, where Dorsey is set to be executed at 6 o'clock. Reporting live in St. Louis, Annie Krall, 5 on your side.
Good news tonight for some Cardinals fans who were victims of an apparent parking scam during Thursday's home opener. The St. Louis Treasurer's Office says thanks to our story, the city is now forgiving $30 tickets issued to people who parked in a grassy lot on Broadway next to the Still 630 distillery. Those fans said they paid someone $40 to park there. City leaders say grassy lots like these are not meant for parking. They encourage drivers to use city-owned lots and parking garages. After years of planning and weeks of buildup, the sun has finally set on the 2024 Great American Eclipse. The total solar eclipse passed through southern Missouri and Illinois, and while the St. Louis region missed out on the path of totality, the celestial event had people from all over the bi-state putting their special eclipse glasses and looking to the heavens.
Many headed south to see the total solar eclipse. And
tonight it is still a slow go on I-55 for people coming home from areas down south. Here is a live look at traffic in the Festus area right now, nearly 8 hours after the moon passed by the sun. And our chief photojournalist, Randy Schwanker, is among those in the traffic jam. He is driving our satellite truck back from Cape Girardeau, where he was a part of our live coverage today.
And it was a much slower go for visitors who drove south in their Teslas. Yeah, we came across several EVs waiting to charge at a gas station in Cape Girardeau. Several had out-of-state plates. Drivers tell us they had to wait an hour to 90 minutes to get a charge.
Coming straight from Poplar Bluff here, I think I've been in line for just about 35 minutes, so It's not too bad.
Once we got here, the cops closed down the Tesla station. We couldn't even get in here for over an hour and a half, maybe.
Earlier today, our crew spotted plates from 36 different states in the Cape Girardeau area.
For the second time in 7 years, Carbondale was in the path of totality, and this time for more than 4 minutes. Holden Kerwicki joins us live from the campus of SIU with more on a day that will go down in history. A long day for you, Holden.
That's exactly right, Kelly. But over the course of the last week, I've met with researchers both here at SIU and from NASA, and met visitors from as far away as China, Thailand, and even Brazil. They told me this was one event that they would not miss for the world. However, even with all the insurmountable hype, somehow it lived up to it.
For the second time in 7 years, visitors from around the world flocked to Carbondale to capture the Great American Eclipse.
We knew that Carbondale had it last time in 2017. X marks the spot this time, so we wanted to come here.
While many repeat eclipse watchers admit the view from Saluki Stadium was a bit underwhelming in 2017.
It was so cloudy that you barely saw anything.
The 2024 eclipse featured crystal clear skies with 360-degree views of dusk during totality.
Nothing compares to seeing it in person.
As the sun and moon perfectly aligned, crowds across Carbondale cheered, while others openly admit that they wept.
City was emotional. Like, I couldn't describe it in words. Like, I teared up a little bit.
I kind of shed a couple tears myself, like a dork, but it's just like the beautiful white light around it. You can't even, it's just indescribable.
It's not something that you see every day, and it just makes you like you're just a small piece in just a big world.
With that in mind, eclipse chasers like Jared Lopez are already making plans to catch the next eclipse half a world away.
Next one in Spain in a couple of years. My brother and I want to do one in New Zealand.
It's a little far off for that, but I would love to see it.
North America won't see another coast-to-coast eclipse like this until 2045. Unfortunately, southern Illinois, and in particularly Carbondale, will have to wait over 300 years before it is again in the path of totality. Reporting live in Carbondale, Illinois, Holden Kerwicki, 5 on your side.
All right, Holden, great job today. Hope you can get some rest.
Yes.
For more pictures, videos, and coverage of the Great American Eclipse, text the word eclipse to 314-425-5355, and we'll send you a link.
Bad Botox tonight. The warning from Illinois health officials after a cluster of cases.
I actually have bought a car on Facebook Marketplace.
Online swap meets are a convenience, but it could come at the cost of your personal and financial safety. Tonight, we're helping you maneuver the changing marketplace.
Were you in totality today? Did you get a chance to see it? These are Bailey's beads, but how about those red things that look like a flare maybe? Well, it's a solar prominence. We'll talk more about that and a look at the rest of the week's weather in just a few minutes.
Just hours ago, a New York appeals court denied Donald Trump's bid for an emergency delay to his hush money trial. The ruling comes exactly 1 week before the first criminal trial of a former president is scheduled to begin. The trial centers on charges Trump falsified business records in regards to alleged payments he made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. He has pleaded not guilty. Tonight, the Illinois Department of Public Health is warning about fake Botox injections. 2 cases of botulism led to hospitalizations in LaSalle County, which is about 90 minutes southwest of Chicago. Health officials warn receiving these treatments in unlicensed settings can put you at serious risks for health problems.
Tonight, the largest skyscraper in St. Louis has a new owner. According to our partners at the St. Louis Business Journal, the former AT&T building has been sold to a Boston company. The 44-story building on Chestnut Street has sat vacant since 2017. Before the sale, a St. Louis-based company was under contract to buy the building with plans to transform it into a vertical city with condos, a hotel, and office and retail space. Attention procrastinators, tax day is 1 week from today. If you owe and don't file by Monday, April 15th, the IRS will charge you a 5% penalty each month you're late. You can file for an extension, but that just gives you until October 15th to file. You must pay any taxes owed by Monday's deadline. It's that time of year when yard sales and flea markets spring up, or at least they used to.
That has changed with online sites like Facebook Marketplace offering convenience and great deals year-round. There's also risks. Tonight, Consumer Reports outlines the safety steps you need to take before finalizing your transaction. People buy all kinds of stuff from their neighbors on Facebook.
I actually have bought a car on Facebook Marketplace.
And while buying a car from a stranger might not typically be recommended, Michelle Concha had done her homework.
Because we had people in common in the area that I felt actually more secure about buying the car from that person.
But along with getting a good deal using social media, you can also get scammed. Consumers have lost more than $2.7 billion to social media scams since 2021. Some scammers lurking on Facebook Marketplace aren't after your money, they want your data. Tip number 1, never share personal information like your address, email, or phone number. Only communicate through Facebook Messenger. Tip number 2, think about where the sale will take place. Meet in a public, well-lit area, and never give away your home address. Consider a police station. Some even have designated parking spots where marketplace meetups are watched by security cameras. Tip number 3, never exchange cash. Facebook Marketplace recommends a secure person-to-person payment method. But even with those, Consumer Reports says you should still take care to prevent payment mistakes.
You always want to make sure that you're sending money to the right person before you send the full amount. So here's one tip. Send a $1 test payment first, and then make sure that that person received it.
And for large purchases, something like that car Michelle bought, pay the old-fashioned way and get a cashier's check. Peace of mind to secure your purchase and your safety. Consumer Reports warns not to buy a used infant or child car seat online. You won't know if the seat has been involved in a crash, and if the labels and instructions are not available, you can't easily check for recalls or the seat's expiration date.
Many in the bi-state today made sure they didn't miss on the great American eclipse. This includes patients at St. Louis Children's Hospital. Instead of being stuck in their rooms, the care team helped move them out to the rooftop gardens. Some continued treatment as they were able to safely view the eclipse with their families. And many of you shared your eclipse experience with us. Viewer Tom May sent us this picture of a large gathering atop Monk's Mound at the Cahokia Mounds Historic Site in Collinsville. Beautiful picture. And Patty Hunt from Afton shared this picture of some really neat shadows on the ground. It's a cool phenomenon during an eclipse where the sunlight goes through the leaves in trees, projecting mini eclipses onto the ground. Well, you're going to have to wait a while before the next total solar eclipse in North America.
The next one will be in 20 years on August 23rd, 2044, but you'll have to travel to Montana or both North and South Dakota to see it. 1 year later, on August 12th, 2045, another one will cross the U.S. from California to Florida, but the bi-state area will not be in the path of totality. It will go through far southwest Missouri and a good portion of Arkansas.
And your eclipse glasses will expire by then, so what should you do with them? The cardboard portion can be recycled, but you'll need to remove the lenses first. You can also donate them. Eclipse Glasses USA is collecting them to send to Latin America for children for the October annular eclipse. We'll have more information as the As Seen on TV section at KSDK.com.
Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is back from Cape Girardeau. He joined us now with the Weather First forecast. And Scott, we couldn't have asked for better weather to see totality today there in Cape Girardeau.
There was quite a bit of consternation about the forecast and about the high clouds today. They turned out to be so thin, not a problem at all. In fact, very little actually overhead for us in Cape Girardeau as well as Carbondale. Andy Kastrup shared this picture with us. This is Bailey's Beads, so we're getting close to the diamond ring just before we hit totality. So Bailey's Beads, just a quick little science lesson here because everybody's asking about it. And you know, we always learn things, but Bailey's Beads, actually those are like little dips, craters in the moon, if you will, where the last of the sun's rays are kind of shining through. But look at those red areas. We were speculating earlier, maybe that's a solar flare. Well, Andy cleared it up for me. Solar prominence is what it's called. As long as it's attached to the sun's surface, it's not erupting as a solar flare just yet. They can actually linger for quite a while. That red area, by the way, hot plasma, hot helium and hydrogen. That's your diamond ring, the very last spot before we went into totality. What an awesome view we had today. I mean, the weather was just perfect. Temperatures dropped off about 9 degrees, both at Cape Girardeau, over in Mount Vernon, and at Carbondale as well. We're down to 69 degrees because we didn't have totality in St. Louis, where temperatures only went down about 3 or 4 degrees. But the dew point's still fairly low at 35, so our air, it's fairly dry, which helped us today. Kept that humidity out of the sky, which gave us that awesome view as well. 80 for the high today, 49 the low. Tonight, we're taking it down into the 50s. Clouds are beginning to return across the region, but the next weather system for the most part is staying mainly to our south. Yes, it's going to flirt with us tomorrow, maybe a few showers southeast of St. Louis, but it's down to our south across Arkansas into Louisiana, into Mississippi and Alabama that'll get the rougher weather. More energy, though, swings out from this system. So eventually by Wednesday into Wednesday night, a better chance for us to get some rain. Tomorrow, more about the cloud cover than anything else. If you see rain, it's southeast of 44, south of Interstate 70 in Illinois, and it doesn't amount to much. It's otherwise a pretty quiet day across the region with just a fair amount of cloud cover. Wednesday, we start with the clouds. Odds are we're dry in the morning. Of course, it's a day game on Wednesday over at Busch Stadium, probably getting it in. As we head into the afternoon and evening hours, though, by 3, 4, 5 o'clock, our chances for showers and potentially a rumble or two of thunder also starting to show up as we head towards later Wednesday into Wednesday night. Again, the focus for severe weather appears to be well to our south on Wednesday with that system. So no weather alert for us as we head through the next few days. In fact, temperatures will back off a bit into the 60s for highs Wednesday and Thursday. And look at your weekend. I mean, after today, the weekend's just, you know, right around the corner, right? I mean, everything's looking good. We didn't win the power Powerball. But everything's looking good at this point.
Not that good.
Yeah,
Wishful
80s.
thinking.
80s this weekend.
All right, thanks, Scott. Frank's here with sports.
Well, I think you've come to the right place. A national title on the line in college basketball. A new coach at SLU, and the Cardinals beginning a series with the Phillies. We'll be right back.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Telly Tire and Auto Centers, driving your way since 1942.
The Cardinals and Phillies in the first of 3 at Busch tonight. We don't really know the identity yet, but we do know the defense is great. The bullpen is pretty good. Starting pitching is okay. Gotta hit a little, though. The broadcaster is breaking out the Wiener hats tonight. Now, there's nothing hot doggy about this play. It's brilliance by Mason Wynn and by Paul Goldschmidt on the stretch. Miles Michaelis was solid, went 6 2/3 innings and allowed 2 runs, including this RBI single by Trey Turner, which scored Garrett Stubbs. It's 2-0 Phillies. If you do a pregame interview with me, good things happen. Ivan Herrera hits his 2nd homer of the year, and we have a 2-1 game in the 7th. 9th inning, Cards down 3-2. Mason Wynn delivers a big 2-out base hit that scores Michael Ciani to tie the game. However, in the 10th, Alec Bohm delivered the double to left. It scored Bryce Harper. Phillies going to win it 5-3.
Yeah, that's kind of been the case early this season. Our offense hasn't clicked the way we want it to. We're aware of it, and it's a matter of time before those guys get going.
What we're seeing tonight in the men's national championship game is basketball at its highest form. UConn came into this game as the first team in history to win 11 straight NCAA tourney games by double digits. It could be 12. They lead 69-56 with under 3 minutes to play. Well, it's the biggest coaching move of the year. John Calipari is leaving Kentucky for Arkansas. On paper, it seems really odd. However, it's not. Would you want to live in a $5 million house with a spouse that doesn't like you, or live in a $3 million house with a spouse who does? Kentucky didn't like Cal and his first-round exits. Now the honeymoon begins in Fayetteville. The honeymoon began today at St. Louis University for Josh Schertz. The 48-year-old was named the 27th head coach in Billiken history. It's a 5-year deal with an option. It's worked well for SLU when they hire a coach who wasn't a great player, i.e. Rick Majerus and Charlie Spoonhour. He was introduced to Chavitz at 10 a.m. Schertz is a former tennis prodigy who quit the game as a teenager and fell in love with basketball. His teams at Division II Lincoln Memorial went to the NCAA's 9 out of 13 seasons. Counting Indiana State, the man is almost 300 games over 500, including a 32-win season this year. But it's his offensive mind that really sticks out. The Sycamores average 84 points a game and were #1 in effective field goal percentage in college basketball. So there comes a time in everybody's life, whether it's choosing a wife or choosing a coach, where you just had this gut feel, I'm going to do this. When did you know in your heart, I'm going after this guy?
Very early, very early. I watched a lot of Indiana State basketball in the last year, but when I really got to have a direct one-on-one conversation, I was sold instantly. He is so aligned and connected with the values we believe in here.
We got to be full speed ahead, and so staffing, recruiting, setting up visits, identifying, who we want to go after. Certainly sitting down with the players here, figuring out, what pieces fit us, what pieces actually want to return, and not only do they want to return, but fit our culture, fit our style of play.
The women's national title game had a preliminary audience of 18.7 million on ABC and ESPN. It's the most watched basketball game since 2019 and the men's NCAA title game. Only football, the World Cup, and the Olympics in the last 5 years had a bigger number. Nielsen releases the final numbers on Tuesday. They say that number actually could get into the 20s. Unbelievable.
She's like the Taylor Swift, Caitlin Clark
Yes.
is of women's college
Yeah.
basketball.
And it helped that South Carolina was looking for perfection.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good to see women bringing
Yes.
those ratings up. All right. It was a great day for a dark wedding. The rush to the outdoor altar today.
It was a total eclipse of the heart in Russellville, Arkansas. 358 couples walked down the path of totality to tie the knot during today's solar eclipse. The event, Elope at the Eclipse, was billed as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Did you know it's National Grilled Cheese Month? And a new survey finds we love the childhood favorite well into our adult years. According to Pepperidge Farm, the average American adult eats 36 grilled cheese sandwiches a year. 36. Missouri is below the national average at 29. Same here. Illinois adults eat an average of 35 toasted cheese. And the survey also found an overwhelming majority prefer white bread with American cheese cut diagonally.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I'm over the average.
Yeah, well, and it needs tomato soup too. And
Lots of people like
and
that,
they do
yeah.
have it at QT. So
Of course.
Of course they do.
What a delicacy.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis at 4 a.m.